Men are moved by two levers only, fear and self-interest. Napoleon Bonaparte, you think people say what they mean. You believe their words reflect their true intentions. That's a comforting thought, but it's a dangerous delusion. We're here to pull back the curtain, to expose the hidden scripts that govern every interaction. Most people navigate the social landscape blindly, reacting to surface-level cues. They're pawns in a game they don't even know they're playing. We're not interested in being pawns. We're interested in understanding the game, manipulating the board, and achieving our objectives. Forget about being nice or taking things at face value. Those are strategies for losers. The world is filled with subtle power plays, masked agendas, and unspoken desires. Your ability to detect these hidden intentions is the single most important factor in determining your success, your influence, and your freedom. Most people are operating on a level of social awareness that barely scratches the surface. They hear words, but they miss the unspoken subtext, the power dynamics simmering beneath the surface. They're like tourists in a foreign land, unable to decipher the language or the customs, constantly vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation. We're here to give you the Rosetta Stone, the key to understanding the hidden language of human interaction. We'll teach you to see the micro-expressions that betray true emotions, to hear the subtle shifts in tone that reveal hidden agendas, to recognize the manipulative tactics that others use to control you. This isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about becoming aware. It's about taking control of your social environment instead of being controlled by it. The idea that people are inherently honest is a fairy tale we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of acknowledging the darker aspects of human nature. But the truth is, everyone has an agenda. Everyone is trying to get something. And often, what they want is not what they say they want. They might claim to be offering help when they're really trying to gain control. They might express sympathy when they're really reveling in your misfortune. The only way to protect yourself from these hidden intentions is to develop a keen sense of awareness, a radar that can detect the subtle signals that betray their true motives. This requires more than just listening to their words. It requires observing their body language, analyzing their tone of voice, and understanding the context of the situation. It requires, in essence, becoming a human lie detector. We live in a world saturated with manipulation. Advertisers use sophisticated psychological techniques to persuade us to buy things we don't need. Politicians use carefully crafted rhetoric to sway our opinions. And everyday people use subtle tactics to influence our behavior in ways we don't even realize. To navigate this complex landscape, you need to be able to see through the smoke and mirrors, to identify the underlying strategies at play. This means understanding the principles of frame control, the art of shaping the narrative to your advantage. It means recognizing the common manipulation tactics, such as gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and projection. And it means developing the ability to subtly influence others without resorting to these same manipulative tactics. The journey to mastering social dynamics begins with recognizing that most people are not operating from a place of pure honesty and transparency. They are influenced by their own insecurities, their own desires, and their own hidden agendas. This doesn't mean you should become cynical or distrustful of everyone you meet. It simply means you should approach every interaction with a healthy dose of skepticism and a willingness to look beneath the surface. By understanding the hidden intentions of others, you can protect yourself from manipulation, build stronger relationships, and achieve your goals with greater ease. Forget about naivete. Embrace awareness. The world is a chessboard, and it's time to start playing. Hidden intentions are the gears turning beneath the surface of every social exchange. Think of the smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, the compliment laced with subtle criticism, the agreement offered too readily. These are all potential indicators of ulterior motives, of a hidden agenda driving the interaction. The psychology behind these hidden intentions is complex, rooted in our fundamental desires for power, status, and security. People often mask their true intentions to gain an advantage, to avoid vulnerability, or to protect themselves from perceived threats. Understanding this inherent human tendency is the first step toward becoming a master of social dynamics. To truly grasp the concept of hidden intentions, we need to delve into the underlying psychological drivers. One key factor is the desire for social approval. Humans are inherently social creatures, and we crave acceptance and validation from others. This desire can lead us to conceal our true feelings or intentions in order to avoid conflict or rejection. We might agree with someone even when we disagree, offer praise we don't truly mean, or downplay our accomplishments to avoid appearing arrogant. These behaviors, while seemingly harmless, can mask our true intentions and create a sense of dishonesty in our interactions. Another powerful driver is the fear of vulnerability. Opening up and revealing our true selves can be risky, as it exposes us to potential judgment, criticism, or even exploitation. As a result, many people develop sophisticated defense mechanisms to protect themselves from emotional pain. These mechanisms can include withholding information, distorting the truth, or even outright lying. Understanding these defense mechanisms is crucial for deciphering the hidden intentions of others. The pursuit of power and status also plays a significant role in shaping our intentions. In many social situations, people are vying for dominance, seeking to gain an upper hand or to climb the social ladder. This desire for power can manifest in subtle forms of manipulation, such as name-dropping, boasting, or undermining others. It can also lead to more overt displays of aggression or intimidation. Recognizing these power plays is essential for maintaining control of your own frame and avoiding being manipulated by others. Furthermore, the concept of self-preservation cannot be overlooked. Our primal instinct is to protect ourselves from harm, both physical and emotional. This instinct can lead us to conceal our intentions in order to avoid conflict, protect our resources, or maintain our reputation. We might lie to avoid getting into trouble, withhold information to protect our interests, or even sabotage others to eliminate competition. These behaviors, while often unconscious, can have a significant impact on our interactions and can obscure the true intentions of those involved. To effectively read hidden intentions, you need to develop a keen awareness of nonverbal communication. Body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can often reveal what words cannot. Pay attention to inconsistencies between what someone is saying and how they are saying it. For example, a person who claims to be happy for your success but displays a forced smile and avoids eye contact may be harboring feelings of jealousy or resentment. Similarly, a person who agrees with your opinion but fidgets nervously or avoids direct answers may be concealing their true beliefs. By carefully observing these nonverbal cues, you can gain valuable insights into the hidden intentions of others. Microexpressions, those fleeting flashes of emotion that cross the face in a fraction of a second, are particularly revealing. These involuntary expressions can betray a person's true feelings, even when they are trying to mask them. Learning to recognize microexpressions requires practice and attention to detail, but it can provide a significant advantage in understanding the hidden intentions of others. Beyond nonverbal cues, you also need to pay attention to patterns of behavior. Does the person consistently act in a certain way, regardless of the situation? Do their actions align with their words? Inconsistencies in behavior can be red flags, indicating that the person may be hiding something. For example, a person who constantly interrupts others may be seeking to dominate the conversation and assert their authority. A person who always agrees with you may be trying to ingratiate themselves or avoid conflict. By identifying these patterns of behavior, you can develop a more accurate understanding of a person's underlying motivations. Moreover, consider the context of the situation. What are the stakes involved? What does the person stand to gain or lose? Understanding the context can help you interpret a person's behavior and identify their hidden intentions. For example, A salesperson who is overly friendly and enthusiastic may be trying to close a deal. A colleague who offers to help you with a project may be seeking to gain favor with your boss. By considering the context of the situation, you can better understand the motivations behind a person's actions. Finally, trust your intuition. While it's important to be analytical and objective, don't ignore your gut feelings. If something feels off, it probably is. Our subconscious minds are constantly processing information, often picking up on subtle cues that we are not consciously aware of. These cues can trigger a feeling of unease or suspicion, alerting us to potential hidden intentions. Learning to trust your intuition can be a valuable tool in navigating social dynamics and protecting yourself from manipulation. However, it's important to balance intuition with reason. Don't jump to conclusions based solely on your gut feelings. Use your intuition as a starting point for further investigation, gathering more information, and looking for evidence to support your suspicions. By combining intuition with reason, you can develop a powerful ability to read hidden intentions and navigate the complexities of social interaction. Recognizing that people often have hidden intentions is not about becoming paranoid or distrustful. It's about developing a more realistic and nuanced understanding of human behavior. By understanding the psychological drivers behind these hidden intentions, you can protect yourself from manipulation, build stronger relationships, and achieve your goals with greater ease. Imagine this: you're at a networking event, schmoozing with potential clients and industry peers. A well-dressed individual approaches you, flashing a disarming smile. He introduces himself as Mark, a fellow entrepreneur, and strikes up a conversation about your respective businesses. He listens intently as you describe your latest project, nodding sympathetically when you mention the challenges you've been facing. He then proceeds to subtly downplay your achievements, framing them as lucky breaks or inevitable outcomes. He then pivots, subtly highlighting his own accomplishments, portraying them as testaments to his superior skill and foresight. He strategically uses self-deprecating humor to further disarm you, making you feel as though you're connecting with a genuinely humble and relatable person. He offers you seemingly innocuous advice, cleverly designed to undermine your confidence and cast doubt on your current trajectory. Throughout the conversation, he maintains consistent eye contact, mirroring your body language to establish rapport and make you feel understood. He peppers the conversation with subtle, backhanded compliments, masking his true intentions behind a veneer of charm and flattery. The encounter leaves you feeling strangely deflated, a subtle erosion of your self-assurance despite the apparently pleasant interaction. This, my friend, is a masterclass in subtle dominance, a calculated effort to diminish your perceived value and elevate his own status in your eyes. Mark isn't interested in genuine connection or collaboration. He is engaged in a silent competition, subtly maneuvering to establish himself as the alpha in your interaction. His hidden intention is to leave you feeling less confident, more vulnerable, and perhaps even subtly indebted to him for his insightful advice. This seemingly casual encounter is, in reality, a carefully orchestrated power play designed to subtly manipulate your perception and position himself for future advantage. He might later leverage this perceived advantage to subtly undercut you in a business deal, poach a valuable client, or simply bask in the satisfaction of having subtly diminished your self-worth. The key to detecting this type of manipulation lies in recognizing the subtle incongruence between Mark's words and his underlying motivations. While his words may seem supportive and encouraging, his body language, tone of voice, and the overall tenor of the conversation betray his true intent. He is not genuinely interested in your success. He is interested in maximizing his own perceived value at your expense. Recognizing these subtle cues is paramount to neutralizing his manipulative tactics and maintaining your own sense of self-worth and agency. It requires a heightened awareness of social dynamics and an understanding of the psychological strategies employed by those who seek to subtly dominate others. Many people stumble blindly into these conversational traps, completely unaware of the subtle power dynamics at play. They take words at face value, assuming that others are as genuine and well-intentioned as they are. This naivete becomes their undoing. They fail to recognize the subtle cues, the fleeting microexpressions, the carefully chosen words designed to undermine confidence, the subtle shifts in body language that betray underlying intentions. They are like lambs led to the slaughter, willingly sacrificing their self-esteem and agency to those who seek to exploit their vulnerabilities. The weak fail because they operate under the mistaken belief that all social interactions are inherently cooperative. They assume that everyone is playing by the same rules, striving for mutual benefit and understanding. They are blind to the fact that some individuals see every conversation as a competition, a zero-sum game in which one person's gain is another's loss. This fundamental misunderstanding of human nature leaves them vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation. They are easily swayed by flattery, easily intimidated by displays of dominance, and easily persuaded to compromise their own interests for the sake of perceived social harmony. They lack the critical awareness necessary to detect hidden agendas and the assertiveness necessary to defend themselves against subtle forms of attack. Their desire to be liked and accepted overrides their instinct for self-preservation, making them easy targets for those who seek to gain an advantage. They are trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and insecurity, constantly second-guessing themselves and seeking validation from others. This reliance on external validation only further reinforces their vulnerability, making them even more susceptible to manipulation. They fail to understand that true strength comes from within, from a deep sense of self-worth and an unwavering commitment to one's own values and goals. Without this inner foundation, they are easily swayed by the opinions and desires of others, losing sight of their own path and purpose. They become puppets dancing to the tune of those who seek to control them, their lives dictated by the whims and manipulations of others. This is the ultimate price of naivete, the loss of one's own agency and the surrender of one's own destiny. The trap is sprung when you value external validation more than your internal compass. The validation seeker broadcasts their insecurity, and the manipulator hones in like a shark sensing blood. The manipulator will feign empathy while subtly probing your weaknesses, turning your self-doubt into a weapon against you. He will agree with your insecurities, amplifying them with well-placed concerns, disguised as friendly advice. The validation seeker, desperate for approval, eagerly accepts this poisoned apple, mistaking the manipulator's calculated interest for genuine care. The manipulator then subtly shifts the focus to his own accomplishments, inflating his ego while subtly diminishing your own. He recounts tales of past successes, dropping names of influential figures, and subtly highlighting his superior intellect and experience. The validation seeker, now feeling inadequate, strives to impress the manipulator, showering him with praise and seeking his approval. This creates a power imbalance, solidifying the manipulator's dominance and reinforcing the validation seeker's subservience. The manipulator, sensing his control, begins to make subtle demands, testing the boundaries of the relationship. He might ask for small favors, make unreasonable requests, or subtly pressure the validation seeker to compromise his own values. The validation seeker, fearing rejection, complies with these demands, sacrificing his own needs and desires to maintain the manipulator's approval. This pattern of manipulation and subservience continues, gradually eroding the validation seeker's self-esteem and sense of agency. He becomes increasingly dependent on the manipulator for validation, trapped in a toxic cycle of seeking approval and sacrificing his own well-being. The escape from this trap lies in recognizing the manipulative tactics being employed and severing the connection with the manipulator. This requires a conscious effort to cultivate self-worth and to prioritize one's own needs and desires. It also requires a willingness to confront the manipulator and to assert one's own boundaries. This can be a difficult and uncomfortable process, but it is essential for reclaiming one's own agency and escaping the cycle of manipulation. The first step is to recognize that you are worthy of respect and that your needs and desires are just as important as those of others. The second step is to set clear boundaries and to communicate them assertively. The third step is to surround yourself with supportive and positive people who value you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. By taking these steps, you can break free from the trap of validation seeking and create a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Remember, true strength comes from within. Seek validation from yourself, not from others, and you will be immune to the manipulations of those who seek to control you. To truly master the art of reading hidden intentions, one must adopt a pragmatic, almost Machiavellian perspective. This isn't about becoming a manipulator yourself, but about understanding the strategies employed by those who seek to control and influence others. It's about recognizing the patterns, the subtle cues, and the calculated moves that reveal the underlying agenda. Think of it as studying your opponent in a game of chess. You analyze their every move not to become them, but to anticipate their next play and ultimately, to protect yourself. This approach requires a detachment, an ability to observe human behavior with a critical eye, stripping away the emotional veneer to expose the raw power dynamics at play. Consider the concept of strategic ambiguity, a tactic often used to mask true intentions. Someone might offer vague promises or express conditional support, leaving you unsure of their actual commitment. This ambiguity allows them to maintain plausible deniability, keeping their options open while gauging your reaction. The key is to look beyond the words themselves and examine the context, the nonverbal cues, and the past behavior of the individual. Does their ambiguity serve a specific purpose? Are they attempting to avoid accountability or to manipulate your expectations? By analyzing these factors, you can begin to decipher the hidden intention behind their ambiguous statements. Another common tactic is the use of emotional manipulation, playing on your sympathies, insecurities, or sense of guilt to achieve a desired outcome. This can manifest in various forms, from subtle guilt tripping to overt displays of victimhood. The manipulator seeks to create a sense of obligation or to elicit an emotional response that clouds your judgment. Recognizing this tactic requires a heightened awareness of your own emotional vulnerabilities. Are you easily swayed by appeals to pity? Do you tend to prioritize the needs of others over your own? Understanding your emotional triggers will allow you to identify when someone is attempting to exploit them for their own gain. Furthermore, pay close attention to the principle of reciprocity, a fundamental social norm that dictates we should return favors and gestures of goodwill. Manipulators often exploit this principle by offering seemingly generous acts, with the expectation of a future return that far outweighs the initial favor. This can create a sense of obligation, making it difficult to refuse their requests, even if they are unreasonable or detrimental to your own interests. The strategy here is to be mindful of the true motivation behind acts of kindness. Is the person genuinely offering help, or are they subtly attempting to create a debt that they can later collect? By questioning the underlying motives, you can avoid being manipulated by the principle of reciprocity. In addition to these specific tactics, it's crucial to develop a broader understanding of human motivation. Most people are driven by a combination of factors, including self-interest, the desire for power, and the need for social approval. By analyzing these underlying motivations, you can gain valuable insights into their behavior and predict their likely actions. For example, someone who is overtly concerned with status and recognition may be more susceptible to flattery and may be willing to compromise their values to gain social approval. Similarly, someone who is driven by a strong desire for power may be more likely to engage in manipulative tactics to control and dominate others. By understanding these fundamental motivations, you can develop a more nuanced understanding of human behavior and become better equipped to detect hidden intentions. A critical aspect of this Machiavellian approach is the ability to detach yourself emotionally from the situation. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring, but rather, it means maintaining a sense of objectivity and avoiding the trap of emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning is the tendency to base your judgments on your feelings rather than on objective facts. For example, you might assume that someone is being honest simply because you like them or because you want to believe them. This can lead to serious errors in judgment and make you vulnerable to manipulation. To avoid this trap, make a conscious effort to separate your emotions from your rational analysis. Gather as much information as possible, consider all possible explanations, and resist the urge to jump to conclusions based on your feelings. Remember, the manipulator relies on your emotions to cloud your judgment, so maintaining a sense of emotional detachment is essential for seeing through their deception. Furthermore, it's crucial to develop a keen awareness of your own biases and assumptions. We all have inherent biases that can influence our perception of the world. For example, you might be more likely to trust someone who is similar to you in terms of race, gender, or social background. Or you might be more likely to dismiss someone who holds different political beliefs. These biases can cloud your judgment and make you vulnerable to manipulation. To mitigate the effects of your biases, make a